Good morning, fellow YouTubers. Only in sunny Southern California can Christmas Eve morning look like this. Thank God for the rains, because look, it just makes everything so fresh. The air is so nice and clean. All the grass and trees have taken on a brighter shade of green. It's just unbeatable. So, with all this rain and new tires, last week I had a tire that had like maybe 3 miles on it, the back tire, and went out riding with a friend, and it started raining while we're out there. So, here I have a back tire that's brand new, slick, hasn't even been leaned on the sides much, and we're in not really the rain, it was more like a drizzle, but we definitely passed some streets, and we're in some churns where it was wet. So that's like the worst case scenario, having a brand new back tire and slick, wet roads. So it got me thinking, but so in that scenario, it had been raining off and on for not really raining, but drizzling for like 30 minutes. So that can accumulate enough water to get the roads wet. So now let's say it hadn't rained in like 3 or 4 months, which definitely happens here in Southern California. And then that first rain, they say, is much more dangerous. So the same amount of time it's drizzling for like 30, 40 minutes. It's drizzling for 30 or 40 minutes. If it hasn't rained in 3 or 4 months, that's much more dangerous than if you were to be in that exact same scenario, but it had just rained really hard a week prior. And everyone knows that's because they talk about how some of that sediment that's accumulated over those 3 or 4 months, once that rain starts to dislodge it, you got this slime sliding off the road, and you're rushing down it, leaning into a churn. So there's a big difference between if it's been raining off and on, or if it hasn't rained in a really long time with that first initial amount of rain. So anyone that's been riding motorcycles, even maybe you've just been riding a year, you've most likely had to deal with getting stuck in the rain, because if you're using your motorcycle to drive to work or even to run errands, you can't always really know exactly when it's going to decide to rain. Like that day that I was out with my friend with the new back tire and it started raining, I didn't know. The phone didn't predict it at all. But we're in Palos Verdes, and with a coastline like Palos Verdes, it's hard to predict exactly when it's just going to let loose with a little bit of precipitation. So if you got good tires though, and they're not brand new, you can really kind of drive pretty normal in the rain, except for times when you're going to have a lot of friction on the tire. That would be starting real fast, stopping real fast, and leaning really hard into churns, drop. So you can drive pretty normal, except for when you're leaning into churns, starting and stopping. And if you really just ease up, like maybe 20%, 25% on those 3 areas, you're going to be fine. Unless it's like just dumping rain. And then you got to really be aware and really slow your speed, because you're going to be coming up to little rivers going across the road, or gutters that you're going to have to cross that are like little rivers. So obviously use your common sense and adjust your riding accordingly, and you'll be fine. Unless you got a brand new back tire on, then you got to really ease it up. So just wanted to throw that out there. Have a lovely Christmas Eve, everybody, and a wonderful Christmas Day morning tomorrow.